All right, brother. Good to chill with you, man.
Honored to be here.
We're on. We're at Pacifica Beach in San Francisco. We just finished a stretch of challenges in America. We've just finished playing at a beautiful Tiburon and Fairfield, which was a little bit of a step down after how amazing Tiburon was in a lot of ways, but it was still a great tournament and fantastic to be in California, as we're both discussing when we've just gone for a swim. And it's not very tennis-like to be parked up at the beach with no shoes, sitting on a log with a pile of rocks as a table, but it's kind of fitting. As we were talking about before, it's amazing the different people that tennis brings you across, you know, a lot of different friends that you meet and people that you wouldn't necessarily cross paths with living in so many different parts of the world. But so thanks for joining me, and I'll start by I'll get right into the nitty gritty. What do you like about tennis, and do you ever question its level of meaningfulness in one's life or in your life? Dedicating X amount of time for you, 30 years to a made-up game. How does that feel? How does it sit with you?
It's deep, man. Coming in hot. Coming in real hot. Well, first of all, I love just about everything about the game. The game is, there's so many components to it. There's the physical, striking of the tennis ball and all of that comes with it. Just kind of getting out there striking balls every day is just, it's like the great liberator. I think at this point in my life, my career, my journey through tennis, really, it's been just a journey,
Yeah.
to this very zen-like atmosphere that we're in. It's something that, and I've talked to a couple of my other buddies, colleagues, tennis friends who I think feel the same way, but if you're not striking balls that day, something's missing from the day. So I definitely have a deep, sense of gratitude to the game, just for that feeling that I get. Even if I'm not competing at the moment. But if I'm out there working with some player, or I kind of observe others playing. I go, I need to get like that workout in. It just it's a peaceful place where it's extremely chaotic simultaneously, but through that chaos, you find peace. And you get in that flow state, that state of just kind of oneness. With the fluidity of your strokes and in your game, but also just kind of connecting, with the ball, but having that freedom,
Yeah.
having that freedom to just kind of be and explore. So that's a big part of it. And then the other side of that coin is kind of the way you can connect with others too through that experience, And a lot of the thoughts that a lot of like the ideas I generate day to day come through those workouts. So if I'm not on the tennis court playing, like I thought about that this morning actually. I'm not on court playing as much because I'm more guiding at the moment, conveying knowledge and hopefully wisdom that's useful to others. So I find a lot of that time where I'm not able to actually be on the court playing, but maybe in the gym getting a jog or a workout or a swim. But definitely, when I'm getting some sprints in, I get in that. That's kind of like that time where I think a lot about I generate ideas, or ideas just come to me, where I can get that clarity in my mind, especially when preparing for the day. Like, what is it? And I like to do those things the night before, as well. I take a lot of notes to prepare for whatever it is, the task and challenge of the day is.
Yeah. You seem to be a well-prepped dude. You're doing a lot of so you're coaching Cannon Kingsley right now, and I've just seen observed you, like, watching matches, taking notes, doing all the necessary things that a coach should do. Are those kind of things the things that you did as a player? Do you feel like you are any more prepped or homeworked than you were as a player because you're trying to tick all the boxes as a coach?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I did a lot of that stuff, for myself.
Yeah.
Throughout my own career. So it's just kind of a continuation of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's going to vary day to day based on the matchup and, what the player needs, singles versus doubles and things like that. A lot of it's very similar in terms of like match prep and film prep and, getting ready for an opponent. But, I enjoy the challenges of that and the X's and the O's,
Yeah.
A little bit of extra work that you got to do day to day, but yeah, I enjoy kind of, finding those solutions, to those challenges, having a solution mindset.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that, It's definitely something, like I said, I've done a lot, 10, 15 years throughout my own career, but I'm still learning a ton, That's the beauty of our game. Like, everyone's always evolving. Every player is improving, working on things in their game.
Yeah.
And I like, and there's so many new players. I mean, the game's deeper and deeper now than it's ever been. That trend will continue.
Yep.
And so it's kind of, there's a lot of knowledge that is all around us. So, especially as this next gen and the gen after that comes up, like there's always a new player that's needs to be studied.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and there's always people are using just various elements to become a better athlete. It's not just hitting tennis balls, and that's growing. People are obviously since the 2000s, in a sense, being a lot more diligent with diet, and there's a lot more science behind the recovery stuff, and
big time.
anything like you see Iga Swiatek taping up her mouth, like, as new studies come about, and people.
What did she do?
She was taping her mouth for training.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Getting that nasal breathing going.
Yep,
I feel like it'd be good.
Yep.
It's good to exhale with your mouth when you're grunting, but breathing in. I know a lot of people, like I've done it a few times sleeping as well. If I felt it just to.
Did she actually play a match like that? That was for
No,
practice,
just practicing.
right?
Practicing, yeah.
In the gym and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of different techniques.
Yeah, a lot of different techniques, man. There's a lot of different ways to get to a player's potential, and I feel like there's not one way. It's about learning your own way and what's best for you.
Certainly.
But I'll ask you, from the small amount of time I have spent with you, I've been impressed with, you seem to be unrelentingly positive dude, and you seem to have a lot of motivation day to day, whether it is even just your energy when you're greeting people, or obviously what you bring to the table as a coach. There doesn't seem to be a victim mentality at all. You seem to have a lot of enthusiasm and exuberance for what you do. Would you say that mentality has come around would you say that is a natural expression of your personality, or would you say you've evolved into that person by having certain rituals and routines in place over the last 10 or 15 years?
Great question, man. First of all, thanks for acknowledging that. I believe that life it's just about choices, and we can choose to be happy, we can choose to be sad. Things will happen to us, absolutely, that are out of our control. But I've always said that it's not what happens to us, it's how we react to what happens to us, right? So it's not the reaction, for example, in a tennis match or in life, but it's the reaction to the reaction.
Yeah.
And so, I've done a lot of reading on that throughout my life, and I've been very blessed to have, parents that are extremely enthusiastic. They're very positive people who believe that, a positive attitude is definitely the foundation for achieving success and maximizing whatever, hand you're dealt in life, whether it's good, bad, ugly, somewhere in between. Everyone has a different upbringing and socioeconomic backgrounds and cultural backgrounds, and so if we can just take what we're given and just give our absolute best effort you know, mentally, physically, spiritually, if we can go to that level, you know, then good things happen.
Yeah.
You know, good things happen. You know, put a smile on the face and just realize that, hey, look, we're blessed. We're here on a tennis court doing something that others would just give anything to just have that opportunity. You know, and your parents provided that for you. I don't know your background, like just getting to know you. My parents provided it for me, and most of the times it's even with a guy like Tiafo who's come, you know, and lived this unbelievable success story. His dad still, you know, happened to be working at a tennis facility that provided him that opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to kind of think about those things and realize how fortunate we are. And so, you know, I would say in answering your question, the foundation was definitely from, you know, my upbringing, but then that's something that you can easily lose if you don't refine that skill, you know, and focus on that, read about it, you know, be it.
Yeah.
You know, actually be it, you know, and so sometimes that's something that you do have to work at. It's a skill, you know, like some days suck, man, and you just, losing sucks, or, you know, something happened, you know, off court in your personal life, it's bothering you, you know, but you can practice smiling, you can practice reading, you can go to the bookstore and buy a book for $5 or $10 that talks about, you know, positive mindset, you know, and
Stillness speaks.
there it is.
Talking
yeah.
about that one.
This
Yeah.
is my guy right here, you know, my boy Eckhart Tolle. Good people, you know, very good people. Power of Now and all the other things that you can do to empower yourself.
Have you ever heard of negative visualization, like purposeful negative visualization? So negative visualization, so this is something I'll practice sometimes. It's like a stoic way in a sense, but it sounds kind of contrary to common sense. But so essentially, if I find myself a little lackluster, not really like grasping the day as much as I'd like to, I try and practice, or maybe I'm feeling a little bit fatigued. I've been on the road for a long time. You know, if those things happen, I try and I visualize my life being slightly more negative. I visualize my life exactly the same, except I rolled my ankle 3 weeks ago and I can't play anymore. So then all of a sudden, let's say that as an example, all of a sudden the 3 weeks left that I'm feeling that I'm struggling to get motivated for, visualizing what it would feel like to have a rolled ankle and not even have the option to play those tournaments, you know, and then coming back to my original position. It can you know, cultivate a lot of appreciation and gratefulness to grasp the day.
You're a wise man, bro.
All about implementing like these small little tactics, you know. And we're lucky to live in a world where we, as you say, you can go down to the bookstore and get a book, but we're lucky to live in a world where we have a lot of if you're using it right, we have a lot of access to a lot of resources and unbelievable information over our phones, and you know, over YouTube and podcasts and things like that. Yeah.
That's a great point. Now that you mention it, I mean, I never had thought of that in terms of that terminology that you use, this negative visualization, but I have done that, you know? So it's like you put the science to the actual practice, you know, the scientific terminology. I've done things like that, and now that you have brought it up, it's a great way to manifest, like you said, the appreciation for where you are.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and you can use other stories too as an example of that, and then maybe even a way to kind of inspire the very important component of this whole journey, which is to give back to those that are less fortunate, right? And so, and that doesn't mean necessarily has to be in a monetary way. It can be just by, you know, throwing a tennis ball to a fan, you know, or signing an autograph, or smiling, you know, giving a high five, you know, that shit makes a big difference, you know, in so many people's lives, youngsters, you know, anyone that's kind of looking up to you along the way. So that's a big thing for me, you know, because the woe is me attitude just never cut it in my household. Yeah. And that terminology was used a lot. Like that woe, if I was woe is me, then I would just get like, I would get scolded.
What, not getting too big for your boots sort of thing?
No, woe is me is like, oh, like my life's shit. So everything sucks, you know, this is terrible. You know, like, oh, wow, you know, like just kind of like being mopey, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that shit just doesn't cut it. Nobody wants to be around that guy.
Yeah.
You know, like it's the revert. It's the opposite of what we're talking about. It's very low energy and just kind of it's just you just want to stay away.
Yeah.
You know, and so if I behaved that way, growing up, getting back to that, I would just get reprimanded. You know, by my parents. You know. So big credit to them for instilling that within me, you know, and like reinforcing it, like, dude, that shit doesn't cut it, you know, like nobody wants to be around that guy.
Yeah. Do you have brothers or sisters?
2 older sisters.
Two older sisters. Did they play tennis at all?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Both pretty high level.
What did they get to? Did they get ranked?
Yeah. One was a Division I scholarship player.
Yeah.
She got a full ride to Clemson. And she ended up transferring to BU. Very good tennis player. Great tennis mind too. Yeah. She coaches now. Coached me a little bit on the tour.
Cool.
For a couple of years. Yeah, we did great. It was awesome. Did traveling with fam. It was like super special. Yeah. Extremely grateful for that experience and that team vibe, that trust. You know, it's tough to recreate that. You know, with someone outside your family. So that was a huge blessing. And then my middle sister as well plays a little bit, more casually. Played in college, but lower level, and still messes around from time to time. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what, like, from a day-to-day perspective, like an average day for you, are there some common denominators that you implement? Let's say, for me, I drink coffee. That's one. You know, it's a stimulant, gets my mood going. Obviously, it's something that you don't want to be. It's one of the more detrimental routines, but it's worth it in a sense. And it's not all. It's a nice ritual and everything. You know, I'm always trying to be. I was chatting to you the other day about what your ideal amount of sleep is. Do you do you have any specific routines before bed or in the morning, or is it kind of, or are you a bit more of a go as you feel kind of person?
No, I definitely have some structure, absolutely. Yeah. Like, first of all, prayer, dude. I pray a lot, all the time.
Are you religious or no?
I would say I'm a believer. I'm absolutely a believer in a higher power, and I was born, I was baptized and all this stuff, Christian, and I'm not like radical in any way, shape, or form religiously, but I'm very much a believer, and I think it's a very powerful way to kind of stay grounded and get that strength, that meditative state. Like it's a form of meditation, like prayer, meditation,
and manifestation. It's a law of attraction, essentially, the way I look at religion. You can believe in whatever prehistoric story you want, but essentially it's all pointing at the same thing. It's about, if you're asking divine intervention for help, it's you're setting your intentions in that way. It doesn't matter what God you're praying to, in a sense. I feel like when you're I've been a bit more inclined to be open to prayer, or even just, it's sometimes for lack of a better term in a way. It's just sometimes I'll even, like writing positive affirmations on a piece of paper, that's essentially prayer, right?
Huge, absolutely.
Yeah.
Big time.
Are you writing many positive, do you write much? Are you journaling? Are you writing?
I write, I journal, I write a lot, on my notepad, iPad, iPhone, stuff like this as well. Yeah. I'm reading a ton. Like all different types of books, whether it's, this type of topic that you're talking about, meditation and mindfulness, positive psychology, tennis related stuff, I like to read about, other subjects too. It could be, sometimes I get into, some worldly stuff, politics, business, the stuff too, like can be interesting. I love sports. I love all sports. So I'm watching, ESPN and like reading up on some stories and stuff like that, basketball, football, stuff like that. Try to have a balance, but definitely, especially now that I'm kind of doing a lot more guidance for others, I find myself reading a lot more about, how to communicate effectively, in such a way that the recipient is open, and willing to receive that information, in a way that is is received with authenticity and genuity, and building that trust, which is like, that's everything, and having that belief that we're trying to work together towards to get to a better place. That connection is very important.
Yeah,
and
for sure. From the small amount of coaching I've done, I feel like I've learned that no matter how much epic content, no matter how much awesome stuff you have to share, as you said, it is so dependent on how good you are at interpreting a personality that and figuring out what the best way is to communicate with them. For instance, if you if you're if you're coaching a shy 15-year-old boy, it's going to be very different to if you're coaching a guy like Goldie, or
For sure.
every personality is very different. So
For sure.
it's communication's massive. Hey,
Hundo P.
Yeah.
And I find that you're right about that, but there's also certain techniques that I think can be useful in almost every case.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone likes getting yelled at.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's old school.
It is. But there's a time and a place for it where you got to kind of put your foot down. But it has to be done in a respectful and mindful way.
Yeah.
Because you can't be soft either. So it's a fine line.
Yeah.
And I know, like you said, talk to a lot of coaches these days. Things are changing tremendously in terms of what you can and can't do. Almost in a negative way.
What do you mean?
Meaning, like, the player won't ever really be fully equipped to optimize their potential if they're just being kind of coddled throughout.
Yeah.
You can't just allow everything to happen. You have to be equipped with the power and in a respectful but entrusted way to enforce shit when it needs to be enforced.
Yeah.
And
be a bit more cutthroat. Be kind of willing to address the elephant in the room and not.
Yeah, like be tough but be fair.
Yeah.
Like, that works. Be tough but fair. Reasonable. I know certain coaches, and I won't name names, but old school coaches that make you run 50 miles. Like, that's unnecessary.
Yeah.
That's not reasonable.
Yeah.
But if you're late, you're late, and there's a price to pay.
Yeah.
For example, that's a very simple example. But there has to be a mutual respect too. And I think people, we're living at such an incredible time in life where we have all this opportunity and all these things given to us, almost unearned. Because you're just born into a very fortunate place where you have a coach, you have the resources, you have the gym, you have the best quality nutrition, all the things, all the resources. You get the film preparation, you get every detail done for you, and it's like I feel like when it's all just kind of handed to you, you don't appreciate it, and you expect, and that can become a slippery slope too.
Yep.
And so sometimes you just gotta be tough, and not, because I think when people get tough, quote unquote tough, it's misinterpreted as being insensitive.
Yeah.
And that's bullshit. Actually, this toughness is so that you can be tough one day, so that you don't break down under pressure in the big moments, so that you're not uber sensitive, hypersensitive to every little fucking thing that happens.
Yeah. Well, I think there's an element of just being able to receive advice without your ego getting tattered, and people are able to separate that. And if you were to say, hey, you could you could do this on your serve, whatever, for me to not my feelings not get hurt and thinking, I'm not good enough to you, my serve's not good enough, or whatever. I think people that are able to be tough on the receiving end of advice in that respect and take it, separate themselves and not take it personally, the people that are able to definitely helps them move forward quicker. So I'll ask you, I'll segue you here. So you finish for a lot of people, a lot of tennis players or a lot of athletes, it can be a really difficult time when you've gone from 15 years of working of playing, and your goal every day is to wake up and become a better player, and you're only you can be selfish. Your whole life's revolved around not that you're living in a selfish way, but your life is revolved around getting you better. So how was it for you in that transition of identity, going from being a player into guiding others and being a coach? And I know you're always still a competitor, and I know you it's not like you won't ever play again. But how was it? Was it difficult for you to unstick from seeing yourself as a player and temporarily or indefinitely hanging those rackets up?
Yeah, I mean, I think every player has to deal with that at some point. It's like, how do you transition? What do you do? Where do you find that same type of drive? That same level of inspiration, right? I think also for each player it's slightly different too. It's like, why were you playing in the first place, right? Did you really love it? Did you not really love it? Some players, they finish, they're like, fuck, thank God I'm out,
Yeah.
They couldn't stand it. And usually players that, play as long as we have are different, because we do truly love it. We have that passion and that dedication, So I think for me, it's just about, in answering your question, yeah, it's a difficult thing, absolutely. It's like, ideally, this is a senior tour, we could play to lower 80.
Yeah.
Step it up, ATP, let's go. PTPA, let's go.
Yeah.
PGA has that, senior tour. Why can't we? But that's whole other discussion. This pickleball tour, I know some guys are transitioning into that,
Would you play pickle?
I would be open to it if it was presented to me. I'm open to anything. I'm willing to have conversations, about any potential avenue. Do I think it compares to tennis in terms of all the things that it has to offer? No, not even close. Tennis, I think, is far superior. But let's see, that remains to be seen. It's cool that something like pickleball is coming on the scene and it's gaining traction with so many people that can compete at a relatively decent level, like within a short period of time. That's pretty cool. It's similar to golf in that way. I think that's why it's attracting so many people, because you can be kind of good right away. So that's cool. It's great. People are being active. You're socializing. It's good vibes. Yeah.
I played pickle for the first time today, right,
yeah?
with the Mayos. The first time I've ever played it. I've been a little bit stubborn towards it, refused in the past.
Yeah,
but same. But I enjoyed it. But I just I was chatting to Ruben Gonzalez about this the other day. So it's kind of crazy that you could start playing pickle, and within a year or two, if things go right, you could be a top 20 player in the world.
Yeah.
Whereas that's what is so special about, and I think golf is more like tennis in the way that if you actually want to be good at it, if you want to be upper echelon, like you need to be. There's no shortcuts. You have to have started so young, and there's so many layers to it. I just think that pickleball could never compete with tennis in my mind, because of just how deep it goes and how long it would take to get close to mastering it. If you want to, being top 100 player or something, being kind of mastering it. And obviously, even if you are a player of the highest caliber, you still feel so far from mastering it. You still miss time, a lot of shots, and in
tennis or in pickle?
In tennis,
For sure.
Do you foresee the growth of pickleball, like continuing at its trajectory?
Do I?
Yeah.
I've heard from the people inside that are running it. I've heard yes from some players that have played and that have I don't know, for whatever reason or not taking a liking to it. I've heard no. So you hear both sides of that argument. My personal opinion is that I see it kind of as a fad, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
But let's see. If at the end of the day, if people if fans are willing to pay for it, and sponsors are willing to sponsor the tournaments, it will continue.
Yeah.
All right. So I think it really comes down to fan interest, because if nobody's interested, then It won't. But
It seems to be going pretty steady right now.
yeah, it's hot. It's hot, and
So back to tennis.
hopefully it stays hot.
Do you ever feel like it's necessary? Obviously, you're thinking about tennis a lot of percentage of the day. Whether you're watching matches, you're thinking about how to improve your player. You're just observing a lot. Do you have times where you have to purposely switch off from that?
Definitely.
You have times where you will,
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have balance. Balance is key. I like to watch other sports. I like to read about other things. I like to just go for a walk, meditate, talk to family.
Yeah.
Like just be human. Do what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Just explore. Talk to friends, loved ones. I mean, I'm very blessed to have a great family that we're very close. I call on them, FaceTiming them every day, every other day. Constantly keeping in touch.
How did you manage 20 years on tour with being away from your family so much? How much did that take a toll on you while you were a player?
Early on, not so much, because you're so excited to be traveling and like seeing the world. It was like, I don't know, it just kind of happened organically. It was never like something I thought about. And then I would say like midway through my career, I started to like be more conscious that like, my sister had a baby, and now I'm an uncle, and the responsibilities that come along with that. And I love being an uncle, and like spending time with my niece, my two nieces, my nephew, and just kind of vibing and just teaching them basketball and tennis a little bit, even though they don't like tennis. Soccer, other things like that, just going to the playground and just being a human being, It's like I'm staying here for an extra 3-4 days because I haven't seen a lot of friends and family out here that I'm very blessed and fortunate to be able to spend some extra time with them, which is going to be totally away from the tennis. Although a couple of them are ex-tennis players, buds, but yeah, they're not in tennis anymore, and we're just going to catch up. Haven't seen them in 15, 20 years, sometimes longer.
Nice.
So that's pretty dope,
Yeah.
I think that balance is key.
Yeah, 100%. So the times when you were on the road for the whole year, you didn't spend too much time yearning for home. You would say you were the enjoyment of being focused on trying to improve and win matches and whatnot. That was enough for you to not feel homesick much.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, there was like the first couple of years, like I said, no, because I was just like so dialed in on like becoming the player and fulfilling the potential that you believe that you can do.
Yeah.
Kind of proving to yourself, proving to the world, proving to your family. Like all those things, trying to make your family proud. Which is a big thing for me and a lot of people that I talk to. Try to make your parents proud. But then that kind of changed in that you get tired. You get burnt out. It's like you just did an 8-9 month stint. Like that's badass. I did the same thing. My first year, like I think it was 2008, 7 or 8, when I just it's like, hey, I'm just gonna go full and just get my ranking as high as I can possibly go.
Yeah.
Play every week, In doubles you can do that. In singles you can't. You need more of a balance.
What's the most weeks you played in a year? Do you know?
Most weeks total?
Yeah, in 1 year.
I think I played 44 weeks that first year.
Yeah. So I think I'm up to 36 this year. It's a lot.
Which is epic.
Yeah.
And I know there's a guy, because it was a discussed thing at that time. There was a guy, I think he played like 51 weeks or something absurd.
Wow.
Maybe 48 or 51. So he played every single week because I don't know, there was war in Macedonia at the time, and he was from Macedonia, so he couldn't go home. So he just
kept going.
Just kept playing,
Yeah, man.
So like you can't compete with that. That guy, he I forget his name, but he was a doubles guy, I believe. So he's got the record.
Some people feel it's good to know what you can manage. So some people can manage maybe 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and they feel like they need to have a week off. Especially nowadays, I feel like I can manage quite a lot. And feel like I went 16 in a row, and I felt like I wasn't. And then I went essentially 1 week off, and then kept going.
Where was the week off?
I went and met my one of my best mates, Oliver Anderson. He actually used to play. He won the Junior Oz Open. He was a gun junior, and he was he doesn't play anymore. He stopped playing at about 18, soon at the end of his junior year. But he happened to be holidaying in America, seeing his little brother in Austin in Texas.
Sweet.
And I'd kind of loosely timed it. I'd played 16 weeks straight. I had a week off and met up with him. And I was missing it like a few days in. It felt weird being a Tuesday, and I just the last 16 Tuesdays been playing, you know. And
It's crazy.
it's like you got to get off it a bit and realize it's almost like getting off a drug, you know. You got to
Big time.
your day-to-day activity isn't as thrilling in a sense.
Big time.
And I had 1 week off, and then I coached for 2 weeks.
That's right.
Coached this junior, Cerretani, this J1 in Canada, and then US Open, and then carried on playing. But I feel like right now I'm going home tonight, and I'm so excited about it. But in the same sense, like I could play next week, you know. I've got 1 week off, and then I'll play the last 5 or 6 to finish the year. But I feel like my threshold's pretty high with what I can play.
Because you have balance.
Yeah, guess so.
Key.
Yeah.
With that balance, you can sustain anything.
Yeah. Do you think it's also easier playing? Like I've been playing singles, you know, half the time. Let's say I'll get in, but do you think it's easier? It's a bit more of a manageable load, just playing doubles.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still like a lot of explosiveness that comes into play, but a lot of it's mental. You know, it's like your mental capacity. Because I know I've worked with a lot of singles players that play both, and they play the singles and the doubles, and they might not be tired physically, but mentally they're gassed.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, if they just lost 7-6 in the third in a long 3.5 hour single match, and then they got to play doubles 90 minutes later, like mentally they're fucked. You know, like they're just like they're out there like physically, but they're not there mentally or spiritually. You know, I've played with a couple of guys like that, and I won't name names, but it's like you might as well just not step on the court. Yeah. You know, a waste of time.
Yeah, it's always you got to be careful when you're a dubs player playing with a singles player.
Absolutely.
That's why you got to know.
Absolutely.
You got to know if they're able to turn it on mentally after a 3-hour heartbreaker in singles. You know, which is friggin' tough.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
Awareness is key.
Yeah.
You know, and also having that conversation prior.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Yeah, just
pitch,
transparency.
Yeah.
Just knowing what your work's looking like. Yeah, it's communication factor as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's no different question for you. Kind of personal, but how have you ever felt like you're missing out on something by being on the road for so long, romantically, when it's hard to maintain a relationship with a lover? Or if not maintain one, it's hard to be stationary enough to build the foundation for one. Do you ever feel like you're missing out on anything, or has that not really been of too much concern for you?
Definitely. Very difficult challenge. And I think that, you know, part of that should be, or has to be, you know, a give and take in that relationship. You know? So, I definitely had a few relationships on the tour, and I think a big part of that, the romantic aspect of it, was the component of the travel together. You know, so that should be like, say, half of it, and the other half should be, you know, grounding somewhere where you're, you know, feeling like you're establishing something together. You know, whether it be in the States, Europe, Aussie, wherever. So that balance is again a tricky balance to master. I definitely had it, you know, to a certain degree with some wonderful people that I had relationships with, and so I think that's definitely an art that I'm still working on refining. You know.
Yeah.
So can always work on that. I think even if I am in a relationship with someone and she wants to, you know, have more time together, because really that's what it's all about, is spending more quality time, that will always be part of the equation, whether or not you're married or not married, but in a partnership, which is becoming more common these days. I have a friend that's in an 11-year partnership, you know, and they're not married, but they're managing, and it's tricky, and they're, you know, half the time in Europe, half the time in the States. So it's like dealing with visas and stuff like this. But definitely something that I think now I'm definitely more mature, to the point where being open about that stuff is and being vocal about it also something that I would be better at now. I think as a player, I was so dialed in on like my craft and trying.
You have to be pretty one-dimensional to be good at anything, right? You got to be a bit of a freak.
And I was, and I think many are, and some women or whoever, there's some significant others are open to that. They love that, they actually want that. They just like they're inspired by that. Others want a little of that, but they want your time. They want the alone time, the me time for them, and that's totally understandable. And so, I tried to, in the relationships I had, be mindful of that and be better at that also when requested. Sometimes there's requests that are reasonable. Sometimes there are requests that are unreasonable. So, it's something that I definitely do want and strive for, because it's a very important part of life.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, it's one of the many small sacrifices that have to be made to be, delving deep into such an international sport, just to travel and whatnot. It's can be difficult, but it's all about priorities, hey. And when you're like, I feel like right now for me, I'm single, I'm 29, but I feel pretty content because I know like what my priority is right now, and I know what that is for the next short to medium term, and so whatever happens, I'll have a little bit of faith in the universe. She might coach. Maybe I'm not ready for her. Maybe she'll come at the right time, and
she will.
If you got to run your life for yourself to a certain degree. I'm not much of a logical planner. I'll follow the heart a bit and see how that unfolds. So
it's powerful.
They so I don't know if you saw, they did like a Netflix documentary on what was it called? Breakpoint, maybe? No, it wasn't Breakpoint. Netflix documentary on the ATP tour, starting with a lot of the next gen players.
Yeah.
And WTA,
cool.
it was alright. Like it depends. I don't know. It's everyone's individual opinion, but it was okay. I feel like it's different watching it from a player's perspective.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be cool. I saw a cameraman following around a little bit at Fairfield this week.
Yep. And
I reckon it would be almost more entertaining if you're getting some of the behind the scenes Challenger Tour when guys are doing it a little bit tougher.
Definitely.
Almost like when you get guys doing it financially tougher, you can end up in a position where you can have some entertaining and comedic stories when guys are on the grind a bit. I've had a few times sleeping in some odd places and doing what is necessary to be able to fund myself to play tournaments and whatnot.
Totally.
Is there anything that comes to mind for you when you think about sort of your ultimate hustler times of trying to make it happen? And I know you spent a little stint there with Mikey Polmans, so many, dude. Is there any cool stories or memories that you'd want to share from those hustler times?
So many. Yeah, I remember you asked me that question. I didn't really brainstorm.
You're right, dude.
To get a good one for you. Yeah, I mean, it is a hustle, man. It's a grind. I remember just going tournament to tournament, stuck in airports, planes, trains, automobiles, throwing, I think where were we? We were in somewhere in Europe. We were like trying to catch a train, and we got on the wrong train. So my boy Shamazin and I, and I think our bags were on the train. Well, we jumped off because it was the wrong train, and the guys like, we were like, yo, throw those bags off. So they were like throwing the fucking bags off the train.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's so many to relive it. It's just so many epic stories. I mean, this conversation right now with you is one of them.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I remember even before that playing futures, man, just down in Australia. It was one of the best experiences I had in my entire career.
Yeah. Where'd you play futures in Australia?
The days before, just starting. I remember Barry Barmera, the 2 grass courts, and then we played Mildura.
Yeah. It's a good club, Mildura?
Mildura's a nice little club.
Nice grass.
Nice little club, good town, man. Like, the Aussies are great because you guys have that balance, like, I mean, it was some heavy competition down there.
Yeah.
Everyone was getting after it on the grass courts.
Yeah.
And then at night, guys were going out. Guys were getting after it. It was good times. I mean, it was early 20s. Just kind of getting a taste for the tour, but it was a good balance. And you didn't have to get totally blasted, but guys were going out. They were socializing. They were interacting. It was like some clubs there and the pub and whatever. It was. I remember it being a very healthy environment. To a certain extent.
Yeah. Healthy competition, like good mateship.
But you just created these great bonds and these great relationships. I remember meeting my boy Matty Edvin down there and Mark Shanahan. These guys are just great dudes, man. And we ended up sharing housing together and billeting and all this stuff, and just it's just the best. Those were just organic times, chasing after kangaroos in the forest. I'd never seen a kangaroo before.
Yeah, nice, man.
Just like eating some good steaks, smoking stogies, by the river, dude.
Yeah.
Just some good old.
It's a good place.
fun.
I wish they had more chalet swings. Like, it'd be cool if they had a grass swing in Australia. They got some cool clubs down there, and
Where's the name of the place? The Overland Corner spot. I don't know if you know. It's a classic spot.
Which town?
Everyone knows about it. I think it's in Barrie.
Yeah.
It's either Barrie or Barmer. That swing, because they're right next door to each other. And Stinger was Shannon Nettle.
I remember that dude.
He's from that area, and he knows about this just absolute legend of a spot called the Overland Corner.
Yeah.
And it's like a little restaurant. And they got some great steaks, and it's just a famous spot. I think they even got some kangaroo steaks there, and just good vibes, man.
Nice, man. I remember this one spot. One spot in Greece, we were going to dinner each night when I was playing in Greece one year, and
Greece is awesome.
when we lost in the doubles final, but we'd been having the odd beer at this bar or going there for dinner every night. And then when we went there the last night after the tournament, I took my trophy and left it. It's hanging up on the wall in the bar now from that tourney. I've never been
still there, right?
It's still there. I've never been back.
That's a classic. Just leave these things behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Little mementos, right?
Yeah.
Connecting with the communities.
Yeah.
Connecting with the guys that you play these tournaments with. Those are the things I remember the most.
It's so easy to go around. It's really easy to go around and be kind of switched off to the outside world, because you can get very routine-based hotel courts, and you can be. I feel like I always try and make a point to actually be open to experiencing the town or the culture and the people, and especially because a lot of places we go are smaller places as well, so you can get a feel for the place by chatting with locals, and otherwise it can be blurry. You can just look back at an 8-week stint, and all you can remember is
I won here, I lost there.
Yeah,
I won here, I
exactly.
lost there,
Just hotels and courts, you know. Yeah.
Big time. I remember we played in Zimbabwe, a future. And, we stayed at a bed and breakfast next to the site. It was $9 a night.
Wow. That's nuts.
It was nuts, but it was also amazing at the same time. And the breakfast was money. It was like the roosters or the chickens were laying eggs like 20 minutes before we ate them. And the bacon was fresh. Like, everything was just like, it was simple, but it was great. It was delicious. And they were living a simple life there, but it was a week that I'll always remember. Guys were, there were dirt roads there, clay roads, no pavement. Yeah. Very, very, underprivileged in terms of the economic state there in Zimbabwe, but we all had a great time. We were kind of venturing. We didn't get, I guess there wasn't that much to do. We did go into town. We went for a couple of walks.
It's amazing the places that tennis will take you.
Yeah.
And some of the countries that are hosting futures, like, how is this country hosting a future?
Yeah.
They, it's definitely taken us to some places that we wouldn't have traveled to. As a tourist. Yeah. So thinking about your own career, man. So what was your career high in doubles? You got to
45.
You got to 45. You made quarters of Wimby.
I did.
You made quarters of Wimby once.
Couple times.
Or twice. Twice. I thought so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's epic.
Thanks,
and
man. Appreciate it.
How did that feel? How did that change? Did you feel like any more? Did you feel a sense of satisfaction around your career, the hustle being worthy once you reached a milestone like that, getting top 50 or making quarterfinals of the most prestigious tournament? Really?
Yeah, definitely top 50 when I reached that. It was a important thing for me because it was my goal.
Yeah.
You know, when I set out, I made the transition from singles to dubs. I was like, I can certainly be a top 50 doubles player based on the competition that I saw, the skill sets that I had, the success I was having quite quickly at the challenger level relative to singles. So when I did get to top 50, I definitely felt like, you know, I had that sense of satisfaction or like achievement, like I achieved what I had set out to do. And then, yeah, of course, if you make a result and kind of go deep into a slam, any slam, doesn't matter which one it is. I mean, those are 4 just super, you know, prestigious events, as you say, and just an honor and a privilege to play them, dude. You know, just to get into any one of them is an honor and a privilege, and to have a bit of a run and play second week, pretty special, dude.
Yeah. Who'd you play with for the 2 times?
The first time was with a great dude from Germany, Philip Marks. Yeah, we had a nice run, man. We played about 6 to 8 months together, but that was the beginning of our partnership. We played a couple of lead-ins before that, a couple of grass court tournaments leading in, so we built a little bit of a rhythm there. And yeah, man, we caught fire. He had a huge serve. You know, I was serving also well at the time, and you know, a little lefty-righty action. I mean, he had an absolute rocket ship serve, dude. He was dropping bombs like 135 regularly, first and second. He had no second serve. He was just bringing the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great dude. You know, doubles guy, so we were able to connect and had a lot of laughs along the way. That's for sure.
Nice.
It was fun. You know, we were having fun. And had a couple of wars too. You know, came back in a couple of those matches. I think we lost in 4 in the quarter to a very good team, like Lodra Zimo at that time. They were like number 2 or 3 in the world.
Yep.
Took the first 7-6, and then we had 2 set points to go up to 2 sets to love. And I could tell you exactly the play-by-play if you want to hear it, but
so you haven't forgotten. Yeah.
So you know, we had some looks on them. It was a great match. You know,
yeah.
Those boys were great, and super grateful for those experiences, man.
Yeah. And the other time, the other.
Then I played the following year. I played with Roger Vasselin, French guy who's still
nice.
playing. He's great ball player, great dude. Still having a really good run, man. After an injury, he's back up to the top 10, I think, at the moment. So we're close there, close to be in that range. And yeah, we did a similar thing. Yeah, played quarters and had a couple good, really tough 5-setters along the way as well. We played some good ball. He was awesome.
Must be different playing 5-set doubles, eh? Nowadays, doubles happen so quickly when you're playing best of 2 in a super and short juice, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they just made that transition, I think, at Wimby 2 or 3 years ago to go from 5 to 3 in the dubs. You know, I think the dubs should be 5. I think it's a great thing for doubles players to show that, the display the athleticism and the endurance.
Yeah, mental application.
Definitely.
At that time.
Definitely. A lot of ebbs and flows of those matches, a lot of seesaws back and forth. I think we were down 2 sets to 1 and a couple of those matches came back. So it just gives you a chance to kind of, right the ship and vice versa and really earn it. You know, really earn it. A little bit more of a marathon, less of a sprint. Yeah. So hopefully they bring those days back. I don't know. I know everything's being downsized now, it's a good thing. More, preserve the bod for the long term for these athletes. I think that's super important.
I wonder how much it's going to be shrunk. I wonder if the tennis scoreboard will eventually be shrunk a little bit. The singles scoreboard.
I think so. Eventually, I mean, people want nuggets, right? They want bite size.
Yeah.
And then the athlete wants longevity. I mean, why are you banging us up, unnecessarily?
In the same sense, it's just classic though. If you have even now there being no extended sets in a 5th set at any slam, in a way I get nostalgic over when a match is going past 6-all or going to 15-all or 20-all, in the 5th, and then also I feel like there's such a beautiful element of 5-set men's tennis at a slam that I hope never gets taken away.
Yeah, I mean 5 sets I don't think needs to be taken away. I know top players won't want that because they've worked so hard to create that endurance over the course of 10, 12, 15 years. But I think what they can do is they can go no ad, for example.
Yeah.
You know? I think eventually maybe, let's see, they can go to those fast 4 sets. I know Ozzy, they were big on those. I don't know if that'll fly, but I think the no ad certainly can be a thing.
Yeah.
And actually, even if you don't go no ad, you can go like a double deuce. I know a couple listeners out there that we've had these discussions. My boy Jules Roger, I know we've talked about this through the years.
What, second deuce is
Double deuce would be, for example, on your second deuce, it would become a deuce point, which is cool.
That's good.
Which is cool. You know, like that way you still got a little deuce vibe, but then you got, you know, let's not go till midnight. You know, these fans don't want to be there till 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a couple of diehards, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you always believe before that you won a 250 as well? Did you believe when you made the transition to doubles? You kind of touched on it. You said you thought when you look at the skill sets out there, you thought you could get to top 50, and so it didn't come as a big surprise to you, I'm assuming, when you won a 250 or you made quarters at Wimby, or was that a big leap at the time? Like, what ranking were you at prior to that, or were you steadily growing?
When I won my first 250, I had a really good year in 2008. I think I started the year like 130.
Yeah.
And I made a huge jump from the beginning of that year. I came out hot, a couple challies, semis that I won like 2 or 3 125s. Played my first 250 earlier that year, like in February, made semis there. So I really had a really good start to that season.
Yeah.
And then I played I played my first final, I think in like April, May. And then I played Wimby for the first time, got one around, had a good win there first round. Then a couple of weeks later, in July, I won Kitzbühel in Austria. So that was a 250 at the time. Actually, it was a 500 because they used to have a couple different denominations. So technically, it was a 500 at that point.
Yeah.
This was before they made the transition from the point system of like international series gold. Technically, it was an international series gold, which ended up being upgraded to a 500. So technically at that point, it was a 500. So yeah, I mean, when I entered there, I think I was ranked around 65 and won that, and it put me to around 45.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big win, you know.
Yeah, epic.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. We had some with my guy Victor Hanescu. Hope you're out there tuning in.
I remember him. I remember him as a singles player.
Fellow Romanian dubs partner. Great singles player. Got to about 20 in the world, and he was gracious enough to say yes to me when I asked him to play dubs, and we developed a good friendship, man. He's a great dude. I saw him a couple of years ago. I was over in Bucharest. We caught up with him. He's got an academy there now.
Yeah.
Victor Hanescu Tennis Academy. He's doing great things for the youngsters, which is cool to see.
Yeah.
And it was great. He played great. I think he played singles semis that week too. So I was kind of supporting him and being a big proponent of his success and kind of helping him along his way too in his singles, which was a lot of fun to be a part of that, small part of that, along with his coach at the time. But yeah, it was definitely special. And when I got that win, I was like, all right, you can do this, man. You belong here.
Yeah.
And that was cool. It was a cool moment, dude. I remember talking to my dad and giving him a call, and we had
epic moment.
We had a pretty cool,
Yeah, nice
celebration, man. Yeah.
Yeah, not many players reach those heights, man. A lot of people play. A lot of people put a lot into it and don't reach.
Yeah, it's cool.
Reach those heights. That's epic.
Thank
so
you.
now, so you're working with Cannon Kingsley right now. He seems like a pretty reserved dude, but he seems super professional and motivated, and he seems like he's got a really good game. Watched him beat Dane Sweeney at Lexington. This is probably the only full match I've watched of him, and I was really impressed with his mental composure and everything. What as a coach, what traits would you look for when you're in a student? You can get some unshackled potential, but what traits would you look for in a student that you're going to potentially work with? Assuming not a guy that's going to work with anybody, but
it's Great question, man. The number one most important thing is the player willing to listen and apply?
Yeah.
Number one. If yes, I would absolutely be willing to work with that person.
Yeah.
If not, then I would absolutely not be willing to work with that person.
Yeah.
Simple.
So almost, do you mean by would they be willing to go out on a limb a little bit and follow an idea or a vision that you have about, let's do some work on this certain area of your game and have faith in putting in that work? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember
Absolutely.
reading the Rafa's book and reading about how I think he was playing junior French and Tony made him serve volley the whole tournament and not win it, but he was testing essentially if he would commit to it enough to go, okay, well, this is what my coach wants me to do, and we're going to commit to this and have faith in his
Wow, I didn't even know
method
that.
of madness.
That was in the juniors?
Yeah.
That's dope.
It might.
See,
I'm
that's
pretty
great.
sure
The whole tournament.
Pretty sure, yeah. I could be wrong that it's French juniors, but it was a big junior tournament, and he was really keen on doing well. And Tony said he has to serve volley.
Wow.
And yeah,
That's badass. That's why Tony's a great coach.
Yeah.
And if Rafa actually listened and did it, which he probably did, because Rafa, that's why I don't want to say he trusted him blindly, but to a certain extent he did.
Yeah.
That's why Rafa became Rafa, because A, he trusted Tony's vision, and B, Tony's vision was spot on.
Yeah.
Right? And obviously, if you trust the guy and this vision's bad, then okay, then that's a mistake. So you have to know that the knowledge that you're receiving is accurate knowledge. So you definitely got to cross-reference with others. But at the end of the day, if the guy knows what he's talking about, then, which I believe that I do. I mean, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm extremely thorough in my preparation for, first of all, a matchup, but most importantly, preparing to work with an athlete.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just going to show up at a tournament and be like, okay, let's go. No,
Yeah.
I'm going to look at minimum 2 weeks, but probably more like 3 or 4 plus weeks of film prep to get a really strong sense of how the athlete performs, but also behaves. On the court, on the tennis match, different scenarios within that match. How is he behaving? How's his body language? How does he react to this point, this scenario, that scenario, to give me a strong sense of what needs to be worked on.
Yeah.
So then I know essentially every single detail of what needs to be worked on, tennis-wise. Then there becomes the off-court component and the balance of lifestyle and stuff like that, which is part of the deal. It's not immediate, but over time certainly has to become part of the equation of that balance. Whether or not that's balanced together or balanced like, hey, go ahead and take 2 weeks off and go see your family or your girlfriend or whatever. Like, there's different types of balance, but certainly balance is an important part of the equation that's unique to each athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great question, dude.
Yeah, man. What do you think of the small times you have watched me over the last few weeks? What do you think? What do you think I need to improve? If you're gonna,
why are you great? Why do you suck?
Obviously, if you were to summarize it, what do you think I need to do better?
How do you beat you?
Yeah, don't give everything away.
I won't.
But give me some small advice on what you think I need to do better to take it to the next level. On the doubles court, we're talking.
Number one thing that you need to do to improve your game and your career is give me a call.
Yeah.
Set up a time to talk. I'm just kidding. We'll pencil in 30 minutes. No. We can do that. We will do that. I mean, we still have, been meaning to have that conversation. Because we're both so busy. You're doing your thing. I'm doing my thing every day. But that 30 minutes usually evolves into an hour. Yeah. But it's time that you have to set aside to really think mindfully. Yeah. And be open to receiving the information and it's a dialogue. It's not like you have to do this, you have to do that. No, that's not fun. It's like, I think this can improve. I think that can improve, and then I get ask you a question or two, get some feedback on how you feel about different aspects of your game. What you love to do, what you don't feel comfortable doing. that area certainly will improve. Will work on.
Yeah.
You know, it's usually going to correlate directly to my notes anyway. And if it does, good. If it doesn't, then I'll introduce one or two more things that I think can improve.
Yeah.
You know, with you, I mean, if I can be candid, yeah. I mean, structure, daily structure would be the first thing.
Structure on the on-court practice structure.
Everything, yeah, on-court practice structure. You know,
Yeah.
so that's a general thing. You know, how you approach your day. You know, because a lot of guys just go out there, they go through the motions, they hit a couple cross courts, this, that, super general.
Yeah.
You know, that will get you a general ranking of 150 in the world, or whatever, some average ranking, not top 50, right? Because that's really the only reason you play. Like people, I want to be top 100. No, you want to be top 50, and then up from there.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one mindset shift. You know, immediately.
I've tried to be more and more specific as I've got, but I'm always realizing, oh shit, like this is actually what I need to be doing, and I'm writing down, I write down what like specifics of what I think I need to work on, and obviously, you know, sometimes you can be constrained by practice balls, courts, you know, we're sharing a court, whatever.
Yep. Tough.
It's nice to have traveling with a player, or
Yep.
having guys that you can be exchanging ball fed to as well. I feel like and get specific, but I feel like I've, that. As you're saying to me, that would be my advice to a lot of players that are younger, from what I've learned through trial and error, is to be more specific in training.
Definitely.
And middle cross, even and just being super dialed in of what, even if you're hitting middle or you're hitting cross, of what exactly you're trying to achieve, not just aimlessly doing it for volume. You know.
So, building on what you said, because I agree with you 1,000%, is identify, highlight one or two things, you know, can be 10, but certainly one or two per day.
Yeah.
That have to get better.
Yeah.
To get to that top 50 ranking. Right? With these skill sets, I have a chance. Without them, I don't.
Yeah.
So step one is awareness, you know, of what it is, what skill sets need to be refined, and then step two, apply. So it's actually pretty simple, you know. So that whole concept. And that daily structure. So which skill sets will be worked on day to day will vary based on the player. It'll be different for you than it is for me, than it is for CK, than it is for Goldie, which is cool. But it definitely has to be that level of attention to detail.
Yeah.
No question about it. For every player. Every player. And that's the fun part about playing tennis. That's why I played for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's what makes tennis great. That's what makes it beautiful. That's why Novak's Novak.
Yeah.
Because he's got every fucking detail oiled.
Yeah.
And he's searching for the next detail. Because that's...
I feel like once you just can find enjoyment in searching for the next for the details, once you find enjoyment in the whole the holistic athlete perspective of like all the things you need to do to get better, and once you see it not as much of a chore but almost as it's entertainment, as it's pleasure, and it's
a joy.
It's
a
exactly.
gift.
Yeah, it is a gift.
Truly a gift. It's like there's nothing you'd rather be doing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
100%, man. Yeah.
It's like a true, authentic, deep passion.
Yeah.
You know, and I know when I do this, I'm going to be great. I'm going to smoke you tomorrow because I've done the work.
Yeah.
That leads to authentic confidence, genuine belief. You know, a lot of players out there are bluffing it. They're bluffing their way through by screaming and yelling and blah, blah, blah. You know? And there's dude, grunting's important, breathing, absolutely. I'm a big fan of breathing, you know, and letting it out. Not playing tight, playing loose. Breathing is a big part of the process, actually. Something we work on every day. But the real authentic belief comes from the knowledge that you've done the work.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
Only you know. You look yourself in the mirror, did I do the work today? No, it's my fault.
Yeah.
Did the work today? Then you can feel good no matter what, win or lose. That's empowering.
Yeah.
You know, you leave the court with your head and shoulders high,
Yeah.
knowing you've done everything in your power to prepare for that day.
I think that's a breakthrough mentality though, when you can be okay with losing, knowing that you did everything you could, or almost everything you could. And obviously you're going to probably then tweak your method or whatever if you're not getting results. But I think it's because some players, it can take them a little bit of time to feel like that. I'd always rather put my balls on the line, so to speak, and try and go, okay, I did everything right, and I can cop a loss in that sense.
Pro mindset.
And shy away from it. But
Pro mindset.
yeah, try to be, even though it stings sometimes,
The question is whether or not you're an evolving player. You're 29. In my view, at 29, you're an infant on the doubles tour.
Yeah, true.
Not a fetus. Fetus is like 25, 26. Yeah. An infant, toddler.
Yeah. Oh,
But
thanks,
that's
man.
exciting.
I need to feel like I got more time.
Dude, you got minimum 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
But if you evolve quickly and maintain that level of consistency day to day, then you can play 10 to 12 more years. That's the beauty. Take care of the body. Sleep well, like you mentioned earlier. 8-9 hours of sleep. I think 9 is optimal. 8's okay. 9 is optimal. Nutrition, stretching, yoga, band work, gym work, recovery. I mean, recovery is everything.
Yeah.
Singles or doubles, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, you see these guys going into their late 30s, 40s regularly now. I mean, Bopana's best example. I mean, the guy's crazy about his body, and he's got banged up knees, but he's doing the yoga work. He's very mindful of the amount of time he spends on the court later into his early, almost mid-40s now. He's 43. He's top 10.
Not so.
Sick.
Yeah. Sick.
Rajiv, 38, 39, 40. I think 40 now. Again, some things are banged up with his joints, but he's doing every detail to make sure his body is as refined, as in tip-top shape as possible.
I just think it's epic that you put time and effort into something that's going to help your career, and it trickles into, it's just like applying time and effort into being a better athlete is, for me, it's just so amazing and an easy job, in the sense, even though I'm just so far from being a god at it, I've got so much improvement to be made, but this is my this is my vehicle for life, this body, so it's not like, okay, now you put your crunching numbers, you're putting in X amount of days every day to crunch your numbers on your computer, that's going to help your career, but then when you walk away, you got a hunched back and you're sore and you're dehydrated from drinking coffee all day and whatever. And I love the factor of tennis that when you walk away from what you've done, and all those micro traits that you're acquiring are all just so beneficial for your life. That's one thing I love about it. It's not like it's separate. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well said. You leave there, body's a temple.
Exactly, man. Yeah. Hey, I reckon we wrap this up, man. How beautiful is that? Like, how amazing is this, dude? We've been lucky to have... Dreaming, man. Yeah.
Dreamy.
Hell yeah. Dude, thanks so much for sitting down and chat and having the impromptu convo.
It's been real.
I appreciate you, brother. It's been good to get to know you the last few weeks.
Likewise. Very chill.
Hope anyone that's watching enjoyed that.
Hope you did. Good people right here. Very good people.
Yeah, brother. Let's see what we do next. Cheers. Catch you, legend.